Earlier this week, the first shot was officially fired in the great cell war of '09 when Apple was granted a patent for the multi-touch phone. And now they have Palm in their crosshairs. The Loop, that one, investigates. Joining me from New York to help make sense of it all, senior editor for Silicon Alley Insider, Dan Fromer, is here. How are you, Dan?
Great. You, Kevin?
I'm doing very well, thanks. I'm a little concerned. I'm a little hurt. I was looking forward to the Palm Pre, and now all signs point to, I mean, nobody knows. And since the release of the iPhone, Apple has threatened to go after anyone who dares release a multi-touch anything. And now the Palm Pre, it sort of threatens to take them on. So what exactly is Apple doing right now, Dan?
You know, that's a great question. I wish I knew. I asked them, and of course they won't tell me. There's a few things they could be doing. First of all, they got a patent granted earlier this month for multi-touch stuff, for gestures, for things like that. There's some stuff it covers, some it doesn't. So in theory, they could go after Palm and maybe get the Pre blocked somehow. I don't really know if that's possible. Or they could wait and see how the Pre does, and maybe someday go after them and say, hey, you owe us a bunch of money. Or they could just do nothing with it and have this patent in case someone goes after them or whatever. Right. A lot of options. Obviously, they're not going to tell us ahead of time what they're going to do.
Well, of course. But it's interesting. I was reading up a little bit on it, and it shows that Apple has certain very specific patents on certain gestures and on certain areas of the phone. Like if there isn't a display, and we know that the Pre has that sort of gesture area down below. How many patents specifically do we know that does Apple hold on the iPhone and specifically on their multi-touch portion of that?
That's a good question. I know of the one that was recently approved. I'm sure there's a bunch pending.
Sure.
But I don't know offhand how many they have.
Well, the one that was just approved, was that specifically for multi-touch, as in more than one finger touching the screen, or was it for swiping in a certain direction to navigate through menus?
It's really long. It's like 350 pages long, so it's for a lot of stuff.
Okay.
It seems to me like it's for your mobile devices and some multi-touch stuff. But if you read, if you go down to the middle of it, there's a lot of weird stuff in there, too.
Right. Is there a rivalry between Apple and Palm? Because I know that Apple came out and said, we will, go after anybody who dare infringes upon our technology, and then Palm immediately put their peacock feathers out and said, well, back at you. Anybody who comes after us, we'll go after you. I mean, is there bad blood there now?
Well, I guess 10 years ago or something like that, Apple tried to buy them. That didn't happen. Those were during the days, after the Newton, during the Palm V or whatever was out then. There's certainly some bad blood now, I think, because John Rubinstein, who was, a very big executive at Apple, is now running engineering at Palm. There's other Apple people involved at Palm, engineers, marketing people, etc. And obviously, the Pre is a lot like the iPhone. It's getting a lot of attention. So, of course, Apple is going to be a little suspicious of what they're doing.
Now, Dan, Palm, I'm assuming, has 1,001 patents as well when it comes to cell phones or mobile communication devices or even general PDA interfaces. Could Apple be opening a sort of Pandora's patent box if they went after Palm over this? Could Palm then go in their files and say, well, guess what? Turns out the iPhone is traipsing all over X, Y, and Z?
Absolutely. Palm has been doing touch screens, way before Apple did. There's a great story at Engadget.com kind of doing an in-depth look into some of the Apple multi-touch patents and then also some of Palm's patents. Palm has a lot of stuff, touch screen stuff patented that, I don't know the details, but Apple could easily be violating some of Palm's patents.
Sure. And real quick, Dan, I'm always curious, what do you think? There's reports that say that Palm's case could actually be helped by Microsoft and their multi-touch Surface technology. We've all seen the demos of people putting drinks on coffee tables and ordering things and moving their hands around. Could Microsoft somehow be a player in this?
They could all be a player. I think the Surface computer is kind of a different device than a phone. But, Microsoft is a huge company with a lot of money. They could get involved. They have Windows Mobile. They obviously don't want the iPhone to go after them. Google, who knows if they're going to do any multi-touch stuff with Android. But there's a lot of companies that can get involved. Apple may have this patent and Palm would have this patent. So I guess we're just going to have to see. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be fun to watch it unfold for sure, as long as that giant touchscreen map in the CNN Situation Room is okay, because I love it when they play with that thing. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you, keeping us in the loop. Thanks a lot, buddy.